Good evening, everybody. I call to order the Bethany City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. Please rise for the invocation and the flag salute. Mr. Herron, will you lead us in prayer? And Vice Mayor Todd, will you lead the flag salute?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for your arms of protection upon this city, Lord. I just pray you just guide our directions tonight as we go, Lord. You have given us wisdom. Help us to use it. In your name we pray. Attention. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1 is the consent docket A through D. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. For item 2, what I would like to do is to move up the executive session, which is item 8. Consideration and possible approval to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing fiscal year 2020 collective bargaining agreement between the City of Bethany and FOP Lodge 161. Do I have a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Did you second?
Yes, thank you.
Please cast your votes. Thank you. We'll be back. Session, no action was taken on item 9, which is
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment on item number 9. We, as a council, have just tonight received the contract. Yeah, oh, okay, thank you. We've just received the contract on fraternal order of police. Barry, we got an awful lot of feedback up here. And myself and many other council people would like to review this thing, so I'd like to table this thing until we get a chance to review it. And so with that, I'd like to make a motion to table this contract.
Do I have a second?
Second. But I do have a question. Are we tabling it just till the next meeting, or are we?
Tabling it to the next
That'll be
council
fine.
meeting?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for clarification.
Please cast your votes. Returning to item 2, which is a public hearing on the proposed revisions to the Bethany Code of Ordinances, which is a code of comprehensive land development regulations proposed for incorporation into Title 15 and pertaining to building regulations and construction and regulations regarding oil and gas drilling, mobile and manufactured homes, travel trailers, signs, subdivisions of land, site plans, submittals, flood damage prevention, public improvements, zoning regulations, and portable temporary storage units. And I believe, do we have a staff report?
Good evening. Hank has a timeline that he has graciously agreed to pass out to you. It's a timeline that shows all known activity on this project that started back in August of 2017, so everybody just kind of has an idea of where we've come from and where we've been. There's going to be a gap in there from the project before I got here, because I'm not really sure what happened between when IBTS was hired and I came in February. This is an update to Title 15 that's not really been updated or revised in 30 years. This has been a 2-year project that we've been working on. There have been numerous individuals involved in this project for guidance and ideas and suggestions, including planning and zoning, city council, developers, architects, and staff. We know that this is not perfect, and we by means don't think it's a perfect Title 15 rewrite. We know there are things that are going to have to change as we move forward and new things come forward and we come across new things. And as Bethany grows and changes, this is meant to be a living, breathing document that we can start from here and work off of. Hopefully so it can be a baseline to move forward with some parameters for developers that are coming in and want to work in Bethany, both in commercial and residential, with projects that we have coming up. Staff believes and is currently working through additional selected concerns. We know there are some things that aren't covered in Title 15, but we believe that they need the council and staff to maybe have some concentrated workshops on some of these issues because they're just not an easy fix. And some of those are going to be sidewalks, residential parking is one, an overlay district for Ward 2 that we've started working on again. So some of these things have not been addressed, and we know that. It's not that they've been overlooked. Staff just feels that we need more of council's input on how we want to move forward with some of these things. Planning and zoning did approve this or recommended approval at the last planning and zoning meeting. I believe several of planning and zoning commissioners are here this evening, and I don't know if they want to speak. But like I said, this has been a 2-year project, and we really just want a place to kick this off and start from, knowing that there are going to be additional changes brought to you, not only probably this year, but for years to come, because we want to be looking at our ordinances all the time and making sure that they're relevant and current. So, and I don't know, Hank, did you want anything to say? Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I have a bunch of questions, but maybe if there are any public comment, would that be something that we could ask for at this point in time?
Good with me. Is there anybody from the public that would like to ask any questions? Yes, sir. Could you come to the microphone, please, and state your name and address?
My name is Jim Clemmer. I live at 7809 Northwest 33rd Street. I am on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I did make some comments about some of the things in there relating to code specifications or specifications in general, like the National Electric Code and others. For 14 years of nearly 38 years, I dealt with those kinds of items and material specifications for OG&E. Now I see that these standards come in, or this proposed revision comes in with dates missing. Each of these things are done by committees that are volunteers on a national scale. The National Electric Code, for instance, is done by the Fire Prevention Association, and each of those, when they're reviewed, approximately every 5 years, if my memory serves me correct, there's a date. Like 2017 might be the latest of that.
Could you speak up a little bit, please?
I
Thank
don't
you.
have a loud voice. Okay, I'll get closer to the mic. Maybe that'll help you. In any event, I proposed in the Planning and Zoning, if you don't mind, I'll call it P&Z meeting, that we add those dates. At the time, there was a proposal to make it a little different in that Oklahoma won't let you go to the next version of code due to the state constitution. It requires approval of the legislature. That's true particularly the National Electric Safety Code, which I'm more familiar with because that dealt with the higher voltages, over 1,000 volts. But I'm thinking that that's the same for all these codes, and there's I forget the name of the entity that approves them, Building Industry Commission or something like that. But anyway, all my point is to make those dates certain of which are approved by the state. Now, the proposal to accept it was to use the verbiage. Do you have that?
P&Z sent it forward with the change, those codes as adopted by the state of Oklahoma.
And that may work, may not, I don't know. And in doing some of my research, I found it once, I haven't found it again, that contractors aren't bound by you just stating the latest approved. Now, the latest approved by the state may work, I don't know. But anyway, that's some of the things I would like for y'all to consider in your deliberations or whatever you want to do with the chapter 15.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Any questions of me? Okay.
Is there anyone else that has anything they would like to add? You said you had questions.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I do have some questions. This is a 276-page document, and I got the final version on Monday morning. I was able, Mike, can you hear me? I was able to get through 146 pages this afternoon. And in the process, I found various issues which included typos and insertions that were incomplete and references to other statutes that were incomplete. And there were other issues related to mobile homes, and I think we're completely redoing all of our ordinances related to commercial signage. And my concern is if we pass these ordinances, we have not given proper notice to all of our business owners related to what will be required of them based upon these ordinances. And I think it's always been my contention, if we're going to help the businesses and residents in Bethany, we need to give them as much advance notice about what's coming down the pike and what they should consider, and we definitely need their input. And I don't think that opportunity has been provided. I know, based upon the timeline, that IBTS had this for a year, and then we paid them a lot of money. And unfortunately, I'll be the first to admit, in my personal opinion, I don't think we got a really good product. And then we were left with this massive document that we had to figure out how to supplement, and to staff's credit, it's kind of like the tar baby. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and here we are. So, I mean, I've got a list of, give or take 25 different items all the way up to page 146. One of the ordinances says, and I'll quote, which I thought was pretty interesting, sidewalks shall not be required along residential streets, but if sidewalks are constructed, they shall be no less than 4 feet in width. And I want all the sidewalks I can get in my neighborhood. And I know that that's related to new subdivisions, but that could be applicable to new construction. So that's my one example of how I think we should, and unfortunately, it might take a little more time, take another crack at how we substantively disconnect these components and allow staff and the public an opportunity and input to go through each one. Not only does that help the quality of the ordinance, in my opinion, but it also allows for the residents to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. We need this, but if we were to pass it as is right now at 276 pages, I think we would have problems that would come up unknown, and then we would have to put that fire out, so to speak, and then try to fix the damage that has already been done. And I don't want to go to that place. So I have a list. I can provide it to staff and we can go through it. I'm available to meet, and I would request that if any other council member read all 276 pages, maybe we can get together and work something out to try to get it taken care of. But with that in mind, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to, I guess, this is public, the public hearing portion. That's what I have to say related to that issue. Thank you very
Mayor?
much.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to say, I am somewhat in agreement with Mr. Palmer, Councilman Palmer, and I am fully appreciative of what staff has done over the last 2 years. I understood and understand what we need to do to be on board with our comp plan and moving forward. But again, like he says, if we've got typos or we have situations that we really have not had a chance to sit down and be involved with it, we don't need 2 years, but we need time. I don't know what kind of time we're talking about, but we need some kind of a time that we can be doing our due diligence to lay these guidelines. And so I am going to say that I'm in agreement with Mr. Palmer on that this isn't no, it's just give us a chance to digest it and do what needs to be done. So it's a perfect document for you as much as we can get.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if we could just note, those two counselors did agree on something, so
Yes.
that's good moving forward.
Please put that in the minutes.
But very much in agreement with what you're saying. You mentioned some of the workshops and things afterwards, and would agree as well with this, if those could be placed beforehand for some more time and interaction. Would very much appreciate that opportunity.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor, I want to congratulate the staff. I mean, this is a very difficult job. 276 pages, having written my fair share of pretty lengthy briefs with hundreds of pages of exhibits, it's hard to get to that point. It takes time, and you have to work at it. So we want to help in any way we can. I think there's some issues that we can knock out, and if we separate the sections, I think we can eliminate most of the things that are easy to decide, and then get into the meat and the heavy stuff, and then fix it if we have to. So that's all I have.
I would
Mr. Mayor,
like to
if I might?
Yes, sir.
I would reiterate what Amanda said, is this document being a living document. As things change, there's necessary revisions, alterations. It's always going to be a document that needs to be revisited. I'm not sure that anyone sitting on this council is qualified as a planner, an architect, an engineer, a builder, a code enforcement professional to make some decisions that's in here. And if we're going to talk about a workshop, we need qualified people sitting on in that workshop, code enforcement, planning, some of the people on the P&Z. We have engineers and architects. There's a lot of mandatory standards. There's consensus standards. There's the Construction Industries Board, the state standards, the National Fire Protection Association. I could give you a dozen more that are necessary for to understand why these codes and why these policies and procedures are in place. For us to, if Mr. Palmer has 25 and we've got 8 other people to come up with 25, we're going to kick this down the road another 2 years. At some point, we've got to get off high center and make a decision. I think there's plenty of flexibility in what staff has done for us to approve this document, let staff do their job, and fix the things that come up as they come up. It is impossible for us to relay almost 300 pages of ordinances to the public in this city. It's just not feasible. It's not possible. We're going to have to address a lot of these things as they present themselves.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment on that. A little closer. I'm concerned about this process in that in August of 1910, the city of Bethany became a city. That's 109 years ago. And ever since then, we've been adding ordinances and codes. And Berkeley sent us a thing that's the current code of the book is 933 pages long. And now we want to add another 270 pages. Are we going to eliminate some of the 933 pages to add this? Are we duplicating efforts? I'm not sure I understand all that I think I know here.
We aren't adding anything. I mean, I'm not gonna say we're not adding anything, but we reworked what was already there. So this entire process has been taking what we had and reworking it to better make it suit our comprehensive plan and the direction that the city's going. I don't know if that helps any, but.
If I might elaborate on what the gentleman said, he used the National Electrical Code as an example. As the state adopts a new version, whether it be 2013 or 2017 or whatever the date is, most municipalities are in agreement that they want to be with the most current code. Now, granted, there are still municipalities that don't adopt the current version because they don't feel like it's as good as the previous version. So there are other oddities that exist here, but for the most part, we're doing what everyone else is doing in the state to maintain consistency in what we do, at least on the code enforcement side. Now, when we get into signage and all the other things that are more of a municipal level decision, we like Mr. Todd said, we've been changing these ordinances for over 100 years, and we're going to continue to change them as our culture changes, as technology changes. There's a lot of factors that are going to play into us waking up one morning and realizing this is no longer relevant. We're going to have to change this.
Mr. Knapp.
I just have, any of the other members of the P&Z, would you have any other comments? Mr. Carlson, maybe?
Gilbert Carlson, 2601 North Rockwell. I serve as the vice chair of P&Z. I also chaired the steering committee for the comprehensive plan. The hiring of IBTS was not the idea of anybody in the council chamber now, I don't believe. It went against a suggestion from our city attorney of 46 years. The cost originally, I believe, was $110,000. I think it ended up at $130,000, and it was essentially a template.
Gilbert, can
Yes.
you pull closer, please? Closer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was essentially the use of a template that they had used elsewhere. And I can't tell you how many minutes, how many hours, how many meetings I attended with the representative from IBTS until it was just frustrating. You could not get a real bit of progress. So what the staff has done here, they've taken a real challenge, and they've had workshop after workshop after workshop. They've used all of the expertise they have to try to come with something that is better than what we have. It is not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Each of you up here are going to have opinions that are not in agreement with some of them. I have some concerns about some of them. But as Amanda says, it is a living, breathing document. It can be modified. If you choose to wait, we're going to have another 2 years. If you hire experts, we're going to have another $130,000 bill. We're not going to have anything any better. That was one of the reasons I made the motion at P&Z to go ahead and approve it as it is. It's not perfect. We don't claim that it is. Amanda doesn't claim that it is. But it's far better than what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Hank.
Good evening, Hank Moore, Economic Development and Assistant City Manager. I think there's a couple things that will help us. I think the request for Councilor Palmer to have a few more opportunities to go through and help us edit. You know, I think there's some editorial changes that need to be applied, and there's some things that may be glaring errors, but we need to have this document in the process of getting approved so that the developers can know for certain what we're doing and that we're not just 30 years behind the times. I would suggest that the council consider appointing a standing committee of sorts. You know, as SR knows, fire codes change at every rendition from the NFPA, electrical codes change. Maybe we need to have 3 or 4 counselors that can meet once a month and address the older concerns, as well as help staff foster solutions for the newer issues. Because a lot of the newer issues coming at us are going to be very politically sensitive to the community. And dealing with a council of 9, trying to get consensus and then take it to the public, just adds a lot of struggles to that. And I think having a valid input of taking a document, going through and get one final revision, approving it, knowing that it can be adapted and changed as we need to move forward. The public will see the process. They will understand the process. And then we use some experience in the council to suggest ways of keeping up and addressing code changes in a way that is consistent with what the community expects as a standard. And it sends the message out to the building community, developers outside of Bethany, that we're moving forward and we're looking for their business and looking for residences to be built in commercial buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to say that I know that I want to thank the staff for all the work that you've put in for this, because I know what you were handed was far below what we were hoping for and paid for. So appreciate the effort and all the time that you guys have put in trying to get us to this point. I, for one, do not want to linger. I believe this is a living, breathing document that will have issues that we need to address. I agree with SR that personally don't really feel like I would be one of very much use sitting on this committee to go through this, because I don't have the expertise I think that's needed to sit on a committee, if there was one, to go through all the items to try to perfect this. I also don't believe that we need to continue to wait till everything is perfected before we pull the trigger on something. I think staff has worked diligently to try to get to this point, admits that there are a lot of issues here, and I'd like to see us move forward with this under the understanding that it's going to be a work in progress, whether that's through a committee or workshops or what have you, to try to address all these items that people have. Item 3, would you like to read the ordinance?
Consideration and possible approval of ordinance number 1974, an ordinance adopting a new revised Title 15 of the Bethany Code of Ordinances, which is a code of comprehensive land development regulations pertaining to building regulations and construction, oil and gas, drilling regulations, mobile and manufactured homes, and travel trailer regulations, regulation of signs, regulation of subdivisions of land, regulation site plan submittals, providing for flood damage prevention regulations, establishing requirements for public improvements, providing zoning regulations, regulation of portable temporary storage units, providing for codification, repealer, and severability, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a motion. I'd like to make a motion to table ordinance 1974 until August 6th, 2019, and in the meantime, some kind of task force could be set up with council members to edit and go through the proposed ordinance.
And one comment that I will make with regard to that is it's critically important that there's a date certain. I spent some time talking to Attorney David Davis today, and so you don't want to table it indefinitely. I mean, you have to set a date, because if you don't, then you have to go back to the drawing board in terms of all the publication requirements, and that certainly would create a hardship. But if you table it to a date certain, just so everybody knows, you don't have to go through the publication requirements, and then you notify everyone that it will be considered again at that time.
What time frame would that be? I mean, like within the next council, or 30 days, or 60 days?
Yeah, I mean, that's why the motion included August 6th, because that would be a date certain.
Okay, I apologize.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Is it beneficial to add, like Mr. Clemmer said, as adopted by the state of Oklahoma, into any of this? Was
Is
that
it
too
okay if I interject that? A few years ago, and I'm sure that, that staff has talked about this, but there is actually an Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Commission, and just so nobody thinks that I was playing on Facebook, I was actually looking up the statute. And basically what happened was several years ago, the Oklahoma legislature decided that it would be very important for municipalities to start utilizing standards that were equivalent across, so that you don't have to go back and continually make the revisions to the code. And so the OUBCC, they basically established the standards for the International Building Code, International Fire Code, Mechanical Code, Plumbing Code, Electrical Code, those types of things. So yes, I mean, I think it does make a difference if you say the standards established by the state of Oklahoma. And Amanda and I, honestly, she and I haven't had a chance to sit down and flesh through that, but we'll make sure we do that in short order. So.
Are you thinking, Mr. Palmer, that on August 6th that this thing will be complete and perfect?
Well, the only thing I know that is perfect is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So, but it will not be perfect, but it will be much better. And I would commit to staff to go through all this. I mean, there are a couple issues in here I see related to the Governmental Tort Claims Act. I don't even know if they're legal, to the extent that we may want to have counsel work with us to get to that point. And I totally understand and agree that we need to put a time deadline on this so that by the time August 6th comes around, we've hashed through these issues, and we're not trying to rewrite anything. We're trying to make it better to get to the point where it can be passed and we can avoid future problems because it wasn't drafted correctly or there are typos. That's my intent.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
That's a question, clarifying question. For instance, on the sign provisions that are in the document, just as one example, for those current business owners or things that this might impact long-term, what is the time frame for them to have to comply? Are they grandfathered in some way, or how does that work?
Our plan was, once that this was approved, letters would go out to all commercial business owners with a letter and the new ordinance, and we would give them 90 days to come into compliance. For most of them, the thing that's going to affect them the most is going to be the prohibited signs, like the banners and that type of stuff, and the permit and the process for getting a temporary sign permit and that type of stuff. But we're going to give them plenty of time to educate, answer questions, talk with them, and to come into compliance.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think that the August deadline, I mean, we're on Facebook Live. I'd request all business owners to contact community development to confirm how the ordinance would affect their signage, and in the meantime, figure out how that fits within their budget and what they need to do in order to make corrections. I mean, that's advance notice, and I hate to think that we didn't ask anybody before we passed these ordinances. And I'm not asking to open Pandora's box or go on some glorified fishing expedition. I think we should just take some time to hash through this, get in a room and go through it, all 276 pages of it.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes, sir.
Amanda, what do you feel like you and your staff can accomplish in the next 34 days that you haven't accomplished in the last 2 years?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Answer it honestly.
I can tell you, I feel like just giving us 30 days is not going to be enough time to accomplish what we need to accomplish, and to give it the time that we need to give it to get to a point where everyone here is happy. I think that, I'm not trying to make excuses, community development's down an assistant director, and it's a very busy time, and I just don't know if 30 days is going to do it. I really don't.
If I may, I don't know that anyone is going to be happy when you are applying ordinances to their business or to their life. I don't think anyone on this council is ultimately going to be happy with almost 300 pages of ordinances. But I think it needs to be reemphasized that these are not 276 pages of brand new stuff. We have been doing this already. All we're doing is fixing some problems, coming up to date with some problems, making it better, hopefully. Now, unfortunately, not everyone is going to believe that. This is hurting me. I've got to take a sign down. Well, What are we going to do about that? Not everyone is going to be happy when we get done.
I would agree with that.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Hunter, did you read the 276 pages?
No, I did not.
Well, let me point you to specific provisions inside the document. And I really didn't want to do this, but I can give you page and line related to typos. There's an issue in here about drilling rigs and indemnification that I don't think is in compliance with the Governmental Tort Claims Act, and it waives certain exemptions that I don't think IBTS had any idea would come into play. There are provisions in here, it refers to the commission. It doesn't refer to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I can go into detail. That's what I wanted, that's why I made this motion, in order to allow staff to go through this so that we can have a workable document that doesn't have typos and is in compliance with the law. Because if we pass that, we can run into problems in the meantime, which leads to liability for the city, which should be avoided because we need to make sure we do this correctly. I'm not asking to do everything over in 30 days. I'm asking it to go through the process to edit what needs to be taken care of and what should be approved and what should be amended or, corrected, really corrected. I can cite to typos that are in the actual document that need to be fixed. So when you say 30 days, I think we can make a good shot at cleaning up this document and presenting it to council in a format that could be passed so that we can avoid some problems later on.
Could I offer an alternative, Mayor? Maybe?
Excuse me?
Could I offer an alternative, please? If we go ahead and pass this evening, these items that you, Mr. Palmer, know already, could we not be in a position then to come back either at the next council or the following council and begin the process of editing those that need to be edited? Is that not an option?
Mr. Mayor?
Right now, we have a motion to table until August 6th.
I would second the motion.
While we're on this subject, I have a motion, I have a second. Who do you think needs to be on this committee? I don't think 3 council members is going to get it done. You're going to need a developer, a builder, contractor, electrician, whoever, attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I would agree. I think we would need, off the top of my head, probably our council, and then Mr. Banta, who is already involved, and all of the staff, Hank and Amanda, and I think we could go through the 276-page document, clean it up, and get it ready to go. I'm committed to that. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think we can get it back to council in a format that is not substantially modified, but it is in a better format to present and allow the public an opportunity to understand what's in the actual ordinances.
I might remind you, Mr. Palmer, we've had a couple of workshops already, and we've accomplished absolutely nothing.
Mr. Mayor, if I may respond to that?
Yes.
I read the whole document. I went through it up to 146 in detail and scanned it up to 276. I didn't get the final document based upon the revisions from planning and zoning after all of the workshops until Monday. So to say that we had workshops, it was a working document and the final version was only provided to us last Thursday. So with that in mind, I'm doing everything I can to make this right within the time frame provided. And I think by August 6th, we can get to that point.
I have a motion, I have a second. Please cast your votes to table this item until August 2nd, or August 6th. Item 4, do you want to read this? Thank you.
Do I want to, or will I? Consideration and possible approval of ordinance number 1973, an ordinance amending Title III Administration, Chapter 33 Municipal Court, Section 33.048 of the Bethany Code of Ordinances pertaining to court costs and deposit for citizen-initiated complaints, and specifically setting forth the costs authorized by state statute. $30 is base cost plus fees and mileage of jurors and witnesses. Setting forth the fees and penalties mandated for collection by state statute, including the $10 fee for the Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training, the $5 fee for the Bureau of Narcotic Drug Education Revolving Fund for those entering a plea of guilty or nolo contendere for or found guilty of the crimes of possession of marijuana or possession of drug paraphernalia, the $10 fingerprinting fee for the APHIS fund, and the $10 forensic science improvement assessment, setting forth Bethany Municipal Court fees for the initial filing of a bond cash or surety in the amount of $35 and a technology fee in the amount of $25, and Section 33.053, which addresses penalty assessed for law enforcement and amending it to address forensic science and laboratory analysis fees and citizen-initiated complaint deposits, providing for repeal or providing for severability and declaring an emergency. Do we talk about it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. I will say just briefly that when I first started back in, I don't know, September or something, I was approached by the city manager at that time to prepare comprehensive revisions to the ordinances because, as you know, state statute is also a living, breathing thing, and throughout the years, you've had a number of modifications to the fees. And so the APHIS fees and the drug fees and all those other sorts of things, those are mandated by state statute. And so what I did then was I went back and pulled all the statutes and felt like it was beneficial to incorporate those into the Code of Ordinances. That way people that are charged with crimes, they can actually see it in writing instead of just saying, okay, this is what this is. And a number of these fees have already been in place. The one thing that is the new fee is the technology fee. And that is really critically important. That's something that a lot of municipalities are doing as law enforcement agencies move towards digiticket and things like that. It makes a significant impact in terms of manpower and accessibility to information and things like that. And so this is supported by staff, so I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
Could you clarify the citizen initiated complaint?
I can, and that was something unusual that I had never seen. I'm working on a couple of other municipal codes, and it's basically, if you don't mind, I'll give you an example. Police officers cannot arrest someone for a misdemeanor not committed in their presence. So I'll take Berkeley, for example. Let's say as we're walking out, I get really irritated with him and I push him. Nobody saw it happen, and then he calls the police and he says, I want to file a complaint against the city attorney for assault and battery. But the officer couldn't arrest me for that. He would have to file, that would be a citizen-initiated complaint. So it's not something that's utilized frequently, but I think that the intent behind it is simply to give the municipal court some flexibility in the event that Berkeley continues to accuse me of assaulting and battering him, even though I might have only done it once, for example.
I have a question on your example. If, say, you were found guilty of that, say there's video surveillance that proves that you did it, then he gets that fee back. Is that correct?
I believe that's true.
That's what I thought I read.
And like I said, it's not something, I don't know that they ever use it, but it's certainly a nice tool to prevent people like Berkeley, the fake Berkeley, from making those sorts of complaints. So, and of course, I'd never push Berkeley, just so everybody knows. But anyway.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion for approval of ordinance number 1973 on reading by title only?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item B is approval of sections 1 through 4 of ordinance number 1973. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Is there a need for emergency?
I'm going to say that there is. I mean, while this is something that should have been addressed some time ago, I think that passing the emergency clause and making it go into effect right now provides a measure of cover and protection. Since we have been collecting these fees, I think that, and also it cuts down, frankly, it cuts down on publication costs. But that's just my feeling about it.
Do I have a motion for approval for Section 5 of Ordinance Number 1973, the emergency section?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 5 is consideration and possible adoption of resolution number 1551, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bethany, Oklahoma, approving the mayor's reappointment of Mark Privet to the Bethany Economic Development Authority for a term expiring on June 6, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 6 is consideration and possible adoption of resolution number 1552, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bethany, Oklahoma, approving the mayor's appointment for Anthony Garcia to the Bethany Economic Development Authority for a term expiring June 6, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 7 is consideration and possible approval of First Amendment to lease agreement between the City of Bethany and the Metropolitan Library Commission. Do I have a motion or any questions?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Having already dealt with items 8 and 9, item 10 is citizens' opportunity to address the council on general topics related to city business or services. There's a 3-minute limit. No action may be taken on matters under this item. Is there anyone wishing to address the council? If so, please step to the microphone, state your name and address.
Chris Thompson, 4600 North Wheeler Avenue. And I appreciate your service, Councilman and Mayor. I just want to take a brief moment. I've lived here, I guess, since '92, and considered moving a few times because of a problem that I know that you all don't have funds for. But I just want to challenge you tonight and ask you if you have intent at some point in time of fixing our streets, neighborhood streets. I understand the other streets are necessary. I came into contact with another councilman now. I think she might be the mayor now, that in a very short period of time moved forward in her little area of Oklahoma City and was able to get those neighborhood streets approved by the citizens. So I know, again, you got to get the money somehow. I have lived here a long time. I don't have kids that can go out on the streets and roller skate or ride a skateboard anymore, but at some point I'll have some grandkids, just to tug at your little heart a little bit, and they can't do that on my street. So, something important to me. Just wanted to know if you plan on, at any point in time, addressing that.
Thank you. Can't take any action on any items addressed, but yes, to answer your question. Is there anyone else? And I look forward to announcing that soon, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Mark Long, 1921 North Glade, and
Paige Porter, 7405 Northwest 21st Street.
and we are here to, on behalf of Vision 23, the citizen-based group, I'm the co-chair. Paige is the secretary of the group. We are here to thank the City of Bethany for helping and supporting us in our second inaugural Summer Cinema and Fun Fest that was held on June the 22nd, just last week. And We wanted to take a few moments just to thank all of our the people that helped make this possible, as well as the city. Our board is, as well as myself, is made up of Jason Sargent, Bill Aycock, Paige Porter, and Anthony Garcia. We had a great committee that was made up of Kim Wilkerson, Jeff Knapp, Robert Helton, Jeff Roberts, Mr. Gilbert Carlson, Steve Marks, and Jill McCartney. A lot of us are in the audience tonight, so I wanted to thank them and recognize them. We had event donors, Seeking Sitters, Metro Oklahoma City, Redlands Fencing Center. We had Vision 23 sponsors from Representative Tammy West, Bethany Self Storage, Curtis Moore Insurance Agency, Carlson Farms, Dr. Mark Privet, New Enough, Ray's Westside Tag Agency, GoPrint USA, the Northwest Oklahoma City Chamber, Passion Church, SRB, Tinker Federal Credit Union, and the YMCA. We had vendors from Inflatable Adventures Oklahoma, Scooter the Clown with Bricktown Clowns that made swords that matched our Princess Bride theme that we had. We had Flow Arts from Ms. Rachel Collier, who did some great entertainment. And then Upbeat Treats was our food truck vendor that was there. So we just wanted to thank all of you and all of our vendors. We had a really successful event. We battled the weather and were able to be able to take care of all of the patrons that were there. And then we had a few other volunteers, Dr. Larry Murphy, Rhonda Bingham, Alicia Rankin, Chase Rankin, and Phil Wilkerson. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paige, and we're going to actually present a few thank you cards.
Yes, we have the smallest token of our appreciation. We're thrilled to be able to put on the event for the second year. We could not have done it without our partnership with the City of Bethany, without tremendous help from our community development people. Amanda McKellum, thank you so much. Jessica Aycock. We appreciate that there is an outreach to the citizens and that you trust us and that you also are guiding us. This movie, The Princess Bride, is known for its iconic quotes. And we, in the card, would just like to say, overall, if you know the movie, "As you wish" is the most important thing that you can say to anybody, as you learn in the movie. And we would like to say, "As you wish," thank you to everyone. So Hank Moore, thank you for your help and support throughout. And we also would like to recognize Ken Smart for your pre-negotiations to making all of this possible with Vision 23. And we also, I'm just making sure, yes, the City Council, we'd like to especially recognize Amanda Sandoval because you were there representing Ward 1 with your brother Pedro, is that right? Did I get it right? I just talked to him outside. So thank you. And that's actually for the whole council, so it's one card for everybody, but we just want to say our tremendous gratitude. And finally, to the Honorable Mayor Westmoreland, we would like to say thank you for believing in Bethany. Thank you for believing in us and Vision 23 and supporting our mission to revitalize 23rd Street. I think you started this. We are happy to carry the mantle forward, and we could not do it without you. We are immensely appreciative of everything. So thank you for letting us have a great event, and we hope to have it for years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you. It definitely takes a team, doesn't it? Get anything accomplished. Is there anyone else?
I need a translator.
Need a tra-
Interprete.
She needs an interpreter.
Mi nombre es María Sandoval, vivo en 7404 Northwest 19, Bethany. 7404.
My name's Maria Sandoval. I live at 7404
Northwest 19th Street.
19th Street.
Interpreter, will you move closer to the mic? Thank you.
Vengo representando a la comunidad hispana.
I'm coming to represent the Hispanic community.
Me gustaría aprovechar todas las oportunidades y obligaciones que tenemos con la ciudad.
I'd like to approach and take advantage of all the opportunities in the city.
En ocasiones tengo que buscar un intérprete
In occasions, I have to have my own interpreter
porque mis hijas tienen obligaciones.
because my daughters have other obligations.
Soy una buena residente de Bethany por casi 15 años.
I've been a good resident here in Bethany for almost 15 years.
Y quisiera ser parte de las oportunidades, quisiera formar parte, quisiera aprovechar todo lo que Bethany, que es una maravillosa ciudad, nos da.
She said, I want to be a part of this community that has become a really great, amazing community and approach everything I can.
Cuando hay intérpretes me siento mucho mejor.
When I have an interpreter, I feel a lot better and a lot more comfortable.
Es todo lo que quería hacer.
And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Hello, my name is Carlos Lopez, resident here in Bethany. Counselors, I am here. Well, I am the spouse of one of the city council members. What I'm here to share tonight comes as a constituent concern. Oh, sorry. What I'm here to say is that I have a constituent concern. I want to shine light on what happened on the last city council meeting. During this time, there was a couple altercations with a couple of the city council members, and I feel like there was some discrimination and some sexism. And I feel that this was very rude, and it should not be tolerated in our city. And I feel like some of the city council members deserve an apology. This frustrates me and makes me very sad, and I will not take a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I get your contact information before you leave so I can give you a call? Is there anyone else?
Hi, Jackie Qualls, 7008 Northwest 47th Street. I just wanted to take this opportunity to address the council. I attended Bethany schools and have lived in Bethany off and on for 25 years now. A couple years ago, my son was getting ready to start school, and my husband and I made the decision to sell our home in a gated community in Piedmont and move back to Bethany. We're in the process of building our forever home not far from the school, and if you've ever built a home, you know that can be a really stressful process. But what keeps us pushing forward is the end goal, to be a part of the amazing school system here and the wonderful community that I know and love. I'm excited about the growth that the city is experiencing and the plans for future development. What brings me here this evening, I often watch the city council meetings online and have recently been disappointed by some of the things I've seen and heard. It is apparent the members of the council are divided and not operating under the 5 pillars of what makes for a strong team: trust, conflict resolution, commitment, accountability, and results. I work in management for a large corporation, and one of the many core values we uphold is thinking outside of ourselves and being mindful of how big is my team. As a council member, your team isn't the ward that you represent. Your team is the city of Bethany, and even beyond that, the state of Oklahoma. I come here tonight asking that you stop making decisions based on what you want or don't want, and instead think about the people you represent and what is best for the city of Bethany and our great state of Oklahoma. We need to pass TIFs so we can bring businesses into our city and stimulate economic growth. We need to stop focusing on the way things have always been done and shift our thinking to what more can we do. We need to focus on moving our city forward so families will want to move here. I personally am invested in our city and recognize its potential, which is why I choose to make it my home. But not all families are like me, and if we don't want to start making some changes as to how this council operates and makes decisions, we will see families choosing to live elsewhere. I, for one, don't want that, and believe you all don't want that either. So in closing, I want to thank you all for your service to the council and for your dedication to our city. And I ask that you will reflect on why you're here, how big your team is, and what you can do to be more effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Chris Powell. I live at 6211 Northwest 31st Terrace. I do want to disagree with the last person who spoke. I think many of you know that I've had political involvement in a number of ways for many years. One of the things that I have seen in my experience is that respectful disagreement produces better results. If there's no disagreement, that means everybody's following behind one person and we're not sharpening and honing our ideas. We're not working together to get input. We need disagreement so that we can come to a final agreement that is the best thing going forward. So when I disagree about the need for TIFs, it is not because I want to stop progress or anything of that nature. It's because I'm concerned about what's best for Bethany. And I know that when some of you on the council and some of you in the audience are for those things, it is because you want the very best for Bethany. We just see things in different ways. There's nothing wrong with that. That just came up. What I really wanted to talk about is the fact that I have a councilwoman who represents me on the council, Amanda Sandoval, along with Paul Todd, who has been doing something that I think is really important. This is a city with thousands of Spanish speakers in it. And one of the things that we need to have going forward is we need to have a city that is welcoming to that community and has that community buying in to the city of Bethany as their home and the place that they want to be. And of course, Councilwoman Sandoval is Hispanic herself, but in doing what she does in her comments, when she makes comments at the end of the meeting, to deliver those comments both in English and in Spanish to reach out to that part of our community, I think is a tremendous tool as far as going forward to help that community buy into what we're doing here in the city of Bethany and being part of our city. So I want to commend my councilwoman for doing that and say thank you for that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Item 11, City Attorney's Report.
I don't have anything.
Item 12, City Manager's Report. Item 13 is the mayor and council members' announcements, comments, and proposals. I'd like to start out this evening. And first of all, I would like to say that our prayers are with the Brown family, Phil, Scott, Tyler, and Terry, and the loss of their mother, Joy. Last night, unexpectedly passed away. And the Brown family is one of the foundational families for the city of Bethany, and so I ask that everyone would keep them in your prayers. I also would like to say that I'm looking forward to the 4th celebration. Like we had promised when we decided to try to do something different with the daytime activities of the Freedom Festival and try to get a citizen-driven committee to be willing to take hold of that and run with it, to take the pressure financially and staff-wise off of our city so that we could concentrate as a city as doing something in areas that we benefit from every day of the year rather than just one day of the year. And unfortunately, that committee has not come to fruition. Understandably, it's a lot of work. Most people just want to go and enjoy it. They don't want to put the thing on. But we can no longer afford to spend $50,000 to $70,000 a year on a one-day event. We need help because that's money that could go to other areas that benefit us every day of the year. Hopefully, because we do have people calling that want to be a part of that, that committee will hopefully come together. But we have promised all along that we would always do the parade and we will always do the fireworks, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to hopefully getting some people to step forward and join a committee and try to bring back the daytime activities in a way that they see fit. I want to thank everybody for stepping forward and speaking their heart. Everyone in the city of Bethany is valuable. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care what you believe. You're here. You're a part of the family of Bethany. I reached out to Council Member Sandoval this past week, wishing to let her know that, we are addressing something through a resolution like many other cities have done, that there will be a process when we know there's going to be a need for a translator, that somebody coming to a meeting needs one, they can request that and make that available. I love it. I welcome it. We do have a growing population of Spanish-speaking residents. I unfortunately did not pay attention in Spanish class, and so I am way behind in that. And so we want to have a translator here to be able to interpret Councilmember Sandoval's comments so that it is as transparent as possible and not translating for yourself. And so I think that brings about transparency, which is what we all want. Not that she's trying to hide anything, but I just think that opens up transparency. And we want everyone to know exactly what's going on. So I appreciate that. And those who are intolerant to that type of thing frustrate me. I do not believe intolerance should be tolerated. So all are welcome. And I thank you for being here this evening. And with that, that is all that I have. Councilmember Larson, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I have a couple of things. First thing is I want to thank everyone that is here. You've taken time from your night, those of you that work during the day, and I know you're tired and would like to get home, so I'll keep it short. But I want to thank you, and those that are out there on the video, same. I'd like to address the city manager in that it has come to my attention that the new iron gates at the cemetery, perhaps, I don't know if they swing both ways or not, but they have been left open toward the street. And I'm wondering if that's a hazard. I'm not saying it is, but I'm wondering if we could look into that, please. And I also am excited about July 4th and to be able to be in the parade again and see everybody out there and then have our fireworks in the evening. I'm glad that we're doing this still. I would ask in the future, Mr. Mayor, when you have an appointment that you need our approval on, could we have some kind of I don't want to say a resume, but maybe a little information about who we're voting on? Because though you may know the people very well, many of us may not. And getting the agenda on Thursday, some of us don't look at it till Friday, some of us don't look at it till Monday night or Tuesday. We don't have much time to try to look them up. So if that would be something that in the future that we could be gifted with, I would appreciate it. And I think the others would as well.
I have no problem doing that. You're the first person to ask me to do that, and so I have no problem doing that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that's all I have this evening.
Mr. Hunter?
Again, I would like to thank everyone here tonight. This is great to see a full auditorium. It would be wonderful if it was completely full every time we open the doors. So thank you very much for coming. I'm not sure that we say it enough, but we talked a little bit about our appreciation for staff for economic development and what they've done on the Title 15 work, but that goes across the board to every single employee in the city. They are our most important resource. And I want to continue and hope that the council agrees, give these people the resources, give them the tools that they need to work with, and then get out of their way and let them do their job. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Herron?
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing.
Mr. Knapp?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight as well. And I'm glad I could not be there for the 23rd Street Fun Fest in Summer Cinema, but I'm glad that it went off very well. I got to sit in on and do a little bit of help to get that going this year. I'm looking forward to the parade and the fireworks, but tomorrow night we have Summer Cinema. Again, we're going to show The Sandlot at Ripper Park. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., Ripper Park. Come see the movie. And then when you go to watch the fireworks, come early and enjoy something from the food trucks. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Sandoval?
Okay. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the attendance. I have it written down, and I have it in Spanish as well, but I'll give you my speech once I'm done with it, so you can go ahead and interpret it. Thank you. So, fellow peers on the Horseshoe, as well as audience members, I cannot stress enough the importance of how crucial the need is for an inclusive environment in City Hall in Bethany. We need to keep pushing and promoting our marginalized communities to feel included in Bethany and our City Hall. We want everyone's inputs because they are still residents of Bethany and they have a say. I will mention the last meeting. I didn't comprehend where this terrified tone was coming from. I felt like it was completely unnecessary. I have Bethany's best interest at heart. I just wanted to make sure everyone is included always. I did want to invite everyone to our Bethany parade, where some of the counselors will be participating, including myself, as well as my little niece and my baby brother, as well as invite the community to our Freedom Fest, which is the same day. I want to congratulate also my sister that had my nephew last week, and I'm really excited to have another family member added. They are both doing well, by the way. I am hopeful that we can move forward and keep promoting an inclusive environment, and I want to keep working with my peers on the Horseshoe to make sure all marginalized communities are getting heard. Let's aim to get better every day. Thank you.
No puedo estresar suficiente la importancia de promover inclusividad en esta municipal. Tenemos que seguir promoviendo nuestras comunidades de la minoría para que se sientan incluidos, porque ellos todos son residentes de la ciudad de Bethany. Hablando sobre la pasada junta que tuvimos, no comprendo por qué había un tono de miedo. Esto fue completamente innecesario. Yo siempre he tenido la mejor interés de Bethany. Solo quiero ver a todos estos incluidos siempre. Si quería invitar a todos a nuestro desfile de Bethany, donde uno de los consejeras, incluyendo a mí, vamos a participar. También para invitar a la comunidad de Freedom Fest, que es el mismo día jueves. Quiero felicitar a mi hermana por dar a luz a mi sobrino. Los dos están bien. Tengo la esperanza que podemos seguir adelante a promover inclusividad. Quiero seguir trabajando con el resto de concejal para asegurarnos que todas las comunidades sean escuchadas. Vamos a seguir echando ganas. Cada día estamos mejor. Gracias.
Thank you. Mr. Goodwin?
Nothing to say.
Mr. Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have several items. The first one is I need to apologize to Mr. Mayor, the council, and the audience. I normally leave my phone in the truck, and for some unknown reason, and I am sufficiently embarrassed not to let that happen again, and I apologize. Sincerely. The next item is I chair the nominating committee of Kathy Larson, Mr. Palmer, and myself, and that has to do with the selection of a city attorney and the city manager. We had 30 applications for the position of city manager, and that has subsequently been narrowed down to 6. We have sent letters out to those that did not make the cut. We have sent letters out that did make the cut, and we will be interviewing shortly for that position. And then regarding the city attorney, we had 14 applications for that position. It has subsequently been narrowed down to 7. And those 7 have been mailed. Well, the 7 that did not make the cut have been notified, and those that did make the cut, we have mailed them a questionnaire and given them a given amount of time to respond to that questionnaire. We will meet yet again and attempt to narrow that down further. And I'm telling you all of that just to say there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and the committee is put an awful lot of hours into that endeavor, an awful lot of work into it. And thank you for the committee members, and thank you for the indulgence of your patience that we can work through this and hopefully get the very, very best that there is to be had. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to agree and wholeheartedly accept the comments made by the mayor and Councilperson Sandoval related to an inclusive Bethany. I think it's very important that we include everyone. And that was a primary concern for me when I got on council, and one of the issues was that the utility bill that we have is not in Spanish, and that was a priority that I was trying to work with J.D. Cox. And this is a process that we're going through in Bethany, and I think we're doing it well, and we're trying to address everyone's needs at the same time. And I think that that's how we need to do it, and we need to make sure, as Ms. Sandoval did provide, an inclusive environment, a safe, inclusive environment for everyone in Bethany. And I think I'm excited that we're going to get to that point. It's not perfect. There are things that can be done that should be improved, and I think that those are issues that we should address, and I'm ready and willing and able to address any and all of those issues to make sure that we are capable of providing a safe quality of life for all of our residents. I'll commit to that, and I'm sensitive to that, and I hope that everyone on the council would have the same sensitivity as well. The other couple things I'd like to bring up, obviously my condolences to the Brown family and their loss, passing of Joy Brown. I hope that our prayers and thoughts are with them as they go through this difficult time. There are other issues related to my previous request regarding some type of a timeline or history related to the paving of residential roads. I know that we've tried to do that in the past. I think what we need to do is figure out what we've done so we don't repeat the process and come up with a good plan of action to try to figure out how we can fund that, either through paving districts or a bond issue or something like that. I know the mayor's got some ideas and solutions to that problem that are going to be presented to the public. I'd also like to comment the LEAF Committee has made great progress in coming up with options on how we're going to deal with that this fall, and I'm excited that they're going to be able to present those recommendations to the council and allow the residents to figure out how they're going to deal with leaves this fall. And I would also like to thank all the veterans on our 4th of July. And more importantly, I'd like to thank my father for his 30 years of service in the military. I had an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and walk by the Vietnam Memorial. My dad's name's not on the wall, but I thank all of the veterans that were a part of the conflict and supported and fought for our freedom. It's very important. If we're going to talk about inclusive, we also want to include those people, that inclusivity into our freedom, and that is a great thing that we have for all residents and all residents within the city of Bethany. And believe it or not, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I had one thing that I forgot to address, not to linger this whole deal, but I agree with your comment, and I agree with your comment that this team has to come together, any team has to come together to be able to accomplish anything, and sometimes that takes time. We're not shying away from disagreements. We're going to agree to disagree. On this team, we have some strong personalities and type A personalities and very strong opinions, mine being one of them. And so it's just a matter of getting there, but I believe hopefully all of us have the same goal and thought, is that it is the citizens' quality of life, the citizens of Bethany's quality of life, that is priority number one. And we might not agree how to bring that about or to improve that always, but that's the goal. And so getting from point A to point B is the goal. So just wanted to say that. Thank you for your comments. Item 14 is new business. Do we have any new business? No new business. I declare us adjourned until July 16th, 2019. I call to order the Bethany Public Works Authority. Item 1 is the consent docket A and B. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 2 is adjourned. I declare us adjourned until July 16th, 2019. I call to order the Bethany Hospital Trust. Item 1 is consent docket A and B. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve, please.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 2 is adjourned. I declare us adjourned until July 16th, 2019. I call to order the Bethany Development Authority. Item 1 is consent docket A and B. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve, please.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 2 is adjourned. I declare us adjourned until July 16th, 2019. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you and good night.